Hey everybody, and welcome back to Checkpoint on Campus. Your host Norris Howard here. Jacob Brothers is also over there in the hinterlands of Las Vegas. Jacob, say what's up.
What's up?
And we're joined by a very special guest, Emily Vu. She is one of the head honchos out there at Winthrop League of Legends. They're in the playoffs for EmireeLoL, making ginormous moves and playing very well, might I add. So Emily, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so the first thing I definitely want to ask is Winthrop is known as one of the stronger teams still left in the bracket. You guys are doing very well, performed well throughout the season. As we get into this playoff bracket, how are you guys feeling? How are you guys looking at the rest of the bracket and thinking, how do you size up against everybody else that's left?
Yeah, I think we're feeling pretty good. The guys, while they don't have a big ego, still think that they're going to be able to take it all. So they're pretty excited about how the brackets are shaking up. And we did just recently kind of see an upset with our next opponent, who is Highlanders versus GVU. We were expecting to go against GVU, but we are now against Highlanders. So that'll be a little bit more exciting. And with the rest of our opponents, I think that with the prep and kind of the way that they've been practicing, they're ready to go and they're pretty confident about the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, and I definitely want to ask talking about that because the playoffs, especially in the early rounds, tend to usually go as form. You don't tend to get a lot of upsets in those early rounds. But because this is collegiate and because this is a bracket in the springtime, upsets will happen. You just mentioned one that you guys are going to be facing Highlander game. And how drastic is it, or how jarring is it to have to change your game plan up or your studying up when it comes to a unexpected opponent that you'll be facing in the next round?
It's not too bad for our team specifically. I think that they've adapted well to having multiple opponents, considering that we've been playing quite a few games with how Proving Grounds and EmireeLoL has gone. So we've had to change up our game plan quite a few times now. And I think the guys are ready to adapt to the opponent, to the meta, whatever may come up, and we're ready for it.
Yeah, now that the competition's only going to be getting bigger and bigger as you get deeper into the bracket, what's the main thing that you're looking for from your players? Is it really like adaptability? Is that like the main bullet point on the board of what you're looking for from your players? Or what do you think is the most important thing for your players?
I think adaptability is pretty important, and flexibility. For my players, I think they value hard work the most. So we try not to focus too much on who we're up against, but rather who we are as a team. So we try to focus on our play styles, our champions, what we're most comfortable with. And that way, if our opponent is kind of ready to see what we play and our play style, we can kind of change it up. And so it's not always one solid thing, but rather kind of something that we can flow into. And that way we can kind of take our opponents off guard no matter who they may be.
Yeah, one thing I definitely want to ask, speaking about adaptability and sort of being flexible when it comes to the game and the meta, is that throughout the collegiate tournament, which I haven't seen necessarily anywhere else, is I'm starting to see Gwen played in the jungle. And that is so strange to me, but I also kind of really like it. Is that something that you guys are tooling with? Because I know you guys have probably seen it as well. But how jarring is that, or how different is that, considering that the meta right now is very, very heavily focused on the jungle?
So I don't think we're too concerned with Gwen. I think her playstyle is very unique, of course. But as a champion, considering she's only been out for a short amount of time now, I don't think that at the highest level of play she'll be able to be played like that. I think it's a little bit more of a cheese pick, and with these higher teams, they're more willing to go with something standard that they know how to play because they can play it to a higher level than Gwen, essentially. But Viego was just recently enabled. I know my team likes playing some weird things, so I can't exactly say if they're practicing it, but I think that we are going to be pulling out some new picks in this tournament, and that'll just have to be something that you guys look out for.
Well, the last question that I definitely have is looking at the teams who are left. You know, who are you guys maybe excited to hope to get the chance to play against? You know, obviously everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to get to that grand final. But if there's a team that's left in this tournament who you go, I hope we get them eventually, who would it be?
So on our side of the bracket, I know that we're looking forward to potentially playing against Harrisburg. Our jungler was actually a Harrisburg player before he came to Winthrop, and so they know the team pretty well over there, and they're looking forward to playing against those players since those players are also pretty well known in the collegiate scene. And I think Harrisburg will be a good matchup for us, and so they're looking forward to hopefully meeting them in our bracket.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Emily Vu, the general manager of League at Winthrop, and all around clearly just awesome person in general. We thank you so much for joining us on the show, and we wish you guys all the luck in your next matches.
Thank you so much for having me.